Alright, so we are in a war zone. There's quite a few key incidences here, some more characterization, a little bit, and a little bit about the setting, just so we can kind of understand what the attack was like. So we're getting just a little bit more feel. So when I got to the plaza level, I walked towards the windows as we were making our way towards an escalator. It still hadn't hit me what was going on, but the smell of smoke was in the air. Out on the plaza, it was a war zone. There was a pair of shoes, lots of paper, a piece of insulation that looked similar to things I'd seen on airplane crashes on TV, and it looked as if it was snowing. My eyes were drawn towards a large mound of ooze about 3 feet high. It was the remains of something or somebody. I quickly headed towards the escalator. So there's a lot going on in this paragraph, so we're going to start right here, where when he gets to a safe-ish floor, so the plaza level is like the lobby, and it would have an escalator that would take you to the elevators, and then the plaza's down below. That's how a lot of these big buildings are set. Like the first floor is like a split level. So we're going to say this is some characterization, and then what I want you guys to think about, of course, is what do you learn about Jim from him stopping to look out the window, as well as the quote, "It still hadn't hit me what was going on." So this is one of those, again, this is one of those times where you guys are annotating using my videos, which is great. I'm gonna kind of point you the way, but I want you to kind of answer these questions right here. I'll point you in the right direction, but you have to be thinking on your own. So we've learned a lot about Jim and his character. Obviously, he's in a little bit of shock. So take what you've already learned about him and apply it to this. And then, of course, this right here is a key incident. It's a strange one, but it will help propel the story forward. So as you read, I want you to come back to this incident. So I want you to read a little bit, maybe even into the next section, and I want you to come back and answer the question, why was this moment important? So this moment did indeed, or why was this moment important? So keep reading this section and then come back and think, okay, why was this moment important to Jim? What did this do for the Jim, and how did it kind of guide him out? All right, and then of course, they saved many people by keeping us orderly, in return gave their lives. So this is just a lot of stuff that's happening here, but let's see. This is all the setting. So let's go ahead and, well, I'm not even going to put a comment on this. I'm just going to highlight it yellow because it's telling us a little bit more about the setting. This, of course, is telling us a little bit more about the setting. And what happened. So we're going to take that part off. Okay, so right here it just tells us a little bit more. So he says, I quickly realized I needed to contact my wife. So this is a little bit of characterization. I'm just going to highlight it green. You put whatever you need to put with it, because obviously at this point you should know enough that you're going to tell me about Jim. So we got some characterization here. I'm sorry, I need to read, don't I? Excuse me. Below, we were guided by people every 50 feet or so. Port Authority or personnel were making sure we didn't run, but still move quickly in the right direction. They saved many people by keeping us ordered, but in return gave their lives. I still remember many of their faces. Outside, people were gathered 100 yards from the building near an old cemetery. We were all looking at the twin candles as they burned. Someone next to me said that she saw an American Airlines plane fly directly above her on the 44th and hit the building. Prior to that, I had assumed missiles had struck the building. I quickly realized I needed to contact my wife. Over and over again I tried to call, but at the same time people were saying not to use cell phones and reserve them for the emergency workers. Everywhere I looked, someone was trying to call home. So again, this is just a little bit more about the setting right here, so I'm going to highlight that in yellow just to kind of put that out there. So here's a fun fact about cell phones in 2001. Nowadays, unless there's like a big natural disaster and cell towers are taken out, there are so many cell towers and so much space within the signals that we could all call each other at the same time and it wouldn't bog down the lines. But in 2001, that was not the case. And so if there were too many people on their cell phone, the towers couldn't handle the call load and you would get kicked off. So you have all these people trying to call people on their cell phones and they can't. So communication's down. I gave up and decided to make my way to the village to find a phone. So again, we have this whole other thing. This is a key incident. He's going somewhere. Okay, I'm going to put key incident to the side. It is up to you, of course, to figure out why you think this would be important. But like I said, he's leaving the towers. He's walking away. Let's think about why that might be important as we continue to read the story. I walked 50 feet and stopped and watched. An F-15 streaked across the sky, circling the towers. The crowd made a noise as to warn that the plane number 3 was coming our way, a bit late, but it was calming to see a friendly in the sky. For some unknown reason, I looked down at my phone and noticed colleague Joe Terry's number. He was calling me. Picking up, I told him to call my wife now. 15 seconds, we were disconnected. Thank God for Joe Terry sending the message that I was fine. So I'm going to highlight this because, again, this kind of reminds me a little bit about my theme that I've been picking up on from when he was talking about Sandy. So I'm a theme insight. Thankful, kind of like how he was with Sandy. Beautiful. All right, there we go. Sorry that this video is taking longer than I expected. So I continue walking north, stopping every 50 feet and watching. Then there was a jumper and the crowd moaned. I had had enough. I stopped being a voyeur and made my way north. So this is a key incident simply because I'm not going to type it. I'm just going to tell you. This is the moment where he stopped turning around and looking back. So this is where he starts walking forward because he sees that man jump off the building, and that's, as he says, that's just it, and he's good. So he stops being a voyeur, which just means a watcher, and he's making his way towards the village, which of course is a borough in New York. It's just another neighborhood. All right, and I'll see you all. You'll hear me in the building's collapse.